And I have not seen a piece of magic like that in a while. That did not happen. The soil went in, and I mean most difficult piece of work ever that is probably ever done. Are we live? Oh my god, we are live, people. Hello everybody, welcome back to the Ricky2ra Podcast, episode 75 I want to say. I apologise if the audio is a bit shaky first and foremost. I think I need to invest in a new mic, but we're going to see how this runs first and see if I can edit it back on playback. But nevertheless, let's just dive straight into this episode because this is a favourite of mine. Obviously you guys know this man had got me into magic in the past. If you didn't know that, please check out how I got into magic. I believe it's episode 2 in the series of this podcast. Yes, so Dynamo, the man, the myth, the legend Dynamo, he has come out, people, with a new show. I believe that came out last Thursday on the 14th of December. And this show was called Dynamo is Dead. Now, I'm very excited about this because I haven't seen Dynamo on TV since 2020, so it's been at least 3 years now. And that was during COVID time, and it was a bit, it didn't feel like the same. Like, it was a great, don't get me wrong, great show. I believe it was called Beyond Magic, but it just didn't hit the same as Magician Impossible. I was a kid when I watched Magician Impossible. I was so excited. I used to watch every single episode on repeat. But this particular show had a different feeling to it. And I believe all of the press that he'd been doing before on different shows, especially on Diary of a CEO, he'd talked more about himself. And I believe this is a shift from his past shows, because his past shows normally focus on other people, showing them magic, whereas this show focuses on him, what he's been going through, and also others that had been going through similar paths and situations, really. So yeah, I want to just start off really with my thoughts on the show, and then I'll get into all of that stuff as well, because I believe the tone of this show was perfect for this moment of time for Dynamo, obviously with what he'd gone through. Unbelievable, by the way, because he talked about his past on Diary of a CEO, and I highly recommend that you watch that video. It's free on YouTube, because that I've never seen, because bearing in mind Dynamo's my hero in magic, so I've never seen my hero in magic talk about himself going through such a hard time, and it actually made me get to know him more as a person. It really did. So I just want to go over my thoughts of the show, really. I thought it was great. I liked the tone of the just what he'd been through, the mental. It felt like such a down-to-earth show, his most realist show, I believe, ever. He talked about his mental health, how he'd struggled. Obviously, his nan and his dog had passed away, and he's going through a legal battle of losing the name Dynamo, which I didn't know. That was a news flash. That was very, very new for me. I did not know that at all. I believe he'd broken up from his management or something. I knew he couldn't talk about much about it, but that's what I'm guessing. But yeah, my man went through a lot, and he'd put that into the show. You could tell he'd put that into the show. And I thought it was brilliant. The magic that he'd done. The thing is, you can perform magic, but then you can perform magic that sets the theme of what you're trying to do. And I believe the magic really, the storytelling was phenomenal, by the way. Just how he told the story of everybody. He had Cara Delevingne, Tyson Fury. He'd put all this story into it with the magic, which made it so much more powerful. And I love that. I feel like that's what Dynamo's a master of, and I could tell as the series of the shows, especially through Magician Impossible, rather than just doing a card trick, he'd put some sort of story into it. It's been brilliant, and honestly, it's through this show, Dynamo is Dead, obviously with the whole theme of dead, rebirth, mental awareness, and other celebrities and other people going through these same situations. It had such a great feel for it. And I'm going to say for one of it, I don't want to spoil the show for you, if you haven't seen it. I'm just going to talk about one particular piece of magic which I felt was very emotional but very real at the same time. Now, I'm so sorry I can't remember the particular celebrity that was in this piece of magic, but basically he'd given her a piece of paper and he'd tell her to think about, emotions, and just to cut through this piece of paper into different shapes and things like that. So she was cutting through the paper, and then basically he said to her, when you're ready, just stop and you can put the scissors down. So she'd done a few patterns, bearing in mind this paper's folded up so it's into like a little square or rectangle. And then once she finishes, she opens the paper, and magically it turned into a picture. And once she turned this picture round the correct way, it was her cat. And she told a story about her cat. And I'm not going to ruin the show for you, but it was a very emotional scene. And I have not seen a piece of magic like that in a while. It's been a while, because magic can go through, and I've talked about on this podcast, you can kind of connect with your audience, and different emotions come out: happy, sad, confused, angry, what the hell. Do you understand what I'm saying? And obviously this theme and tone of the show is very strong emotion, I don't want to say sadness, but some sort of deep within, hidden deep within emotion. And honestly, I loved it. And that particular piece of magic was brilliant. That was one of the standout pieces of magic for me in that whole show that I remember. But like I said, great storytelling, and most importantly, the overall TV show. It's great to see Dynamo back. He hasn't been on our screens for such a long time, and honestly, it's an honour for me to be talking about my idol, going through him from season 1 of Magician Impossible all the way up to Dynamo is Dead. He's got a great body of work that's out for the world to see, and it's amazing because I'm not comparing myself to him, but just my journey of when I first saw his first episode of Magician Impossible to now, where I was just a kid that was just blown away by his magic and was curious about magic, to now where I'm performing at gigs, I'm creating my own magic videos for online. I'm doing a podcast and I'm talking about Dynamo. Honestly, I can't. It's amazing about everybody's journey. So I am very, very pleased to see my hero, my idol, Dynamo, back on the big screen. What's most important about this as well is the people that were in there. I feel like it's more. A lot of people said, "Oh, he's got a load of celebrities. It's like a phone book in his show." But really, the reason why he got celebrities, in my opinion, the reason why he got celebrities in the show is because a lot of people know these people and they can explain what they've gone through in the past that they found difficulty with, and a lot of people can relate back to them because they know them as this celebrity. So for example, Tyson Fury, a lot of people know who Tyson Fury is, and some people can relate to his mental health issues or somehow respect him for sharing that information. And I feel like that's a great move, because no disrespect to anybody else, but I feel like if you talked about other people, yes, people would respect that person, but I feel like they wouldn't know that person as much as a celebrity was. Not taking anything away from that at all, but I feel like it just made sense for the show, which is brilliant as well. Shop phone going off there. We are in the shop and this is live right now, so we're doing it. But yeah, if you want to talk about my favourite piece of magic from this show, it was the Coke can one, and this is just the shopkeeper in me because he used an everyday object. It was with Cara Delevingne, and he basically, my man, spoiler alert here if you haven't seen it, my man just made that can of Coke open, boom, used a hand just to wave it near it, and it went. Mate, that was sick. And there was storytelling into that as well, so if you want to check that magic out, I believe it's Dynamo is Dead on Sky Max here in the UK. I don't know where it is, if it's released around the world, but I'm sure you can get your hands on it. But yeah, he did a lot of good storytelling in that as well. This episode is going to be a shorter episode, guys, because, I'm just talking about Dynamo here, but it's not necessarily focusing on me, even though this is the Ricky2ra Podcast, but I'm going to try and draw it back towards the end of the episode. So there's one thing really that I want to talk about before I end the topic of Dynamo and then kind of go towards the end of this episode really. And that is the buried alive. I don't even want to say stunt, the escape really. The whole theme of the show was Dynamo is dead. He's burying his old self and doing a rebirth to who he is. He's trying to find out who he is in this episode, and he finds out at the end of the episode. And a lot of people, I was going on Twitter. I was live on Twitter on the latest tweets tab, just going through what people thought of the show, and there was a lot of mixed ones. A lot of people said it's good and bad, and when it went on to the buried alive part, when he was doing it, a lot of people thought, and it kind of made me question it a little bit as well, a lot of people thought that, I'm trying to put this correctly, that it was a magic trick and it wasn't real. I can assure you it was not a magic trick. The way people thought was that the digger was going to put dirt in and he was going to go through a trapdoor, appear in the digger, or appear on Angel of the North. That did not happen. The soil went in and he came out. He came out and the credits started rolling. And you can see at the side that he was legit there. Honestly, what a guy. He'd done that. Major respect, like pat on the back, mate. Pat on the back for that. Overall, Dynamo is dead. I love it. I love it. I'm not going to say if it's good or worse than the rest of his TV shows, because this is just a completely different body of work. It reminds me of when Kanye West went from College Dropout, Late Registration to 808 and Heartbreaks. It reminds me of that, where you can't really compare that to his first body of work because it's just a natural progression of him as a person. So I believe that's how I'm comparing Dynamo is Dead. It's nothing compared to his other work. This is just his own body of work in that moment of time, which I think is brilliant in my part as well. And it's just great to see him back. Now, just to recap all of this, I want to say, what is next? What is next for Dynamo? To be honest with you, I don't know. I know he was filming in Bradford a few months ago. Is that for a new TV show? I don't know. He did put something on his Instagram that he could be doing a tour. I'm definitely going to go see him, by the way, if he does do a tour. But just to round this up in full circle, it goes to show you that you can go through anything. You can be on top of the world and go down in a second. And I've been guilty of this myself, thinking that you want success to come so quickly. But yet, when you're there, it's kind of like, well, what's next? I hear a lot of people saying that. I don't count myself as successful at this moment in time. But I feel like I'm gradually taking some steps to lean into that direction. Now, it just shows you he hit rock bottom. And now he's rising up again. No pun intended, from the buried alive. I believe that is Dynamo's most hardest, and I mean most difficult piece of work ever that he's probably ever done in his life. And I believe that everybody should take a note from this. You don't even have to be a magician. It just shows that whatever you're going through in life, you can overcome it. And you've got to overcome it in your own ways. And I'm going to tie this back to my return episode from Where Have I Been, because I'm not saying I hit rock bottom. I'm saying that I felt at one time that I was not the best version of myself, and I had to do things in order to get myself out of a rut and rise again. Now, I'm not making no comparisons to me and Dynamo's journey. We're both on our complete different journeys. I'm just saying that for myself, I had to do certain things in order to get to this position where you guys are listening or watching me today. So, guys, honestly, if you're going through something, you've got to get yourself out of it in baby steps. For me, it was a 10-minute workout, 20-minute workout, and it got me out of a rut. For you, it could be something else, but you've just got to find it and work on it. But guys, Dynamo is Dead, great episode on Sky Max. Watch it if you haven't seen it. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I will not be posting until the new year now, I believe, unless I've got another extra episode in me before 2023 ends. But if this doesn't come out, if this comes out and it's the last one, sorry, I'm getting my wordings wrong. If this comes out and it's the last episode, I wish you guys a great Christmas and a great New Year as well. If you got any thoughts on what you think of this whole podcast return, please let me know. I know I get feedback as well, which I love, and yeah, I wish you guys the best for 2024. And honestly, even though this has been a short episode, I believe we've ended on a great episode, because it's kind of come full circle for the Magic. Even though I've been talking about Dynamo throughout this whole episode and throughout the whole series, his name's popped up on this podcast, I feel like we've done well. Should I do a recap episode? Maybe I'll try to squeeze one in, because I know I'm off from the shop now. But yeah, guys, this has been your boy Ricky2ra. Peace, stay strong, and remember, always follow your dreams.